Right, what is up? What is up? And of course, what is up? Want to welcome you folks to another edition of, wait for it, Richie retrospective reviews. I'm your host, the boom da 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 da, RichManZ in the place to be. And I just want to say before we continue, big shout out to the Rich team. We are almost near our target of reaching 10K subscribers. What you can really do, which will really help a lot, is to be sure to drop a like, be sure to share the video, and make sure you comment, because we are looking in the year of 2025, because this year is not just only my year, it's your year, it's Rich Team member number 5's year, it's Rich Team number 67, 68 year also. So be sure to share the videos out. Much appreciated from the CEO of the Rich Team. Yes, on there. So folks, I'm gonna say I really have found a lot of enjoyment coming back to the retrospective reviews. As I said, I got a playlist that you can go down and look at reviews that I've done since I started, which is like about maybe 7 years ago. You have to go back to I believe my first review was Hanging with Mr. Cooper. That was the first review I ever did, and the actual person who actually inspired me to do reviews online is RMJ Movie Reviews. I'm really hoping one day I can bring him on the channel. Like the Rich Team, definitely go up to his channel and definitely subscribe to him. He was the one who really inspired me to start these reviews, and shortly after we've gone all the way up into this point. All right, so folks, the jam, the jam, the jam, right. So guys and girls, I didn't forget you girls. This is a movie review that I've wanted to do for the longest of times, but there has been many delays, there's been many interruptions, and there's been many reasons why Richie Rich could not review this. But what it is that I've tried to review this movie. We're talking about Space Jam that came out in 1996. One word to describe this is iconic. Definitely up there with the basketball movies of generations. Basketball movies up there. I've wanted to review this for so much time, and I was always thinking like when would be the right time, and as I said, now is the perfect time to review this. Especially it's funny, especially when I was watching this, because I watched this not too long ago. I was watching a few other basketball movies around this time. I watched Love and Basketball again. I rewatched White Man Can't Jump, and I also was watching I was also watching Coach Carter also. So I'm as I said, I'm gonna go more into the history about this, but this timing of doing this review couldn't be ever more perfect. So Space Jam that came out in 1996. The slogan is simply "Get ready to jam." My oh my oh my. Okay, so before I talk about the history, let me just talk about the legendary status of this film. I love so much that I remember I was in New York around this time last year. I actually went in March last year, and imagine we're talking about almost 30 years later after the original Space Jam, I still saw people wearing the Toon Squad. So that's like the jersey that was used in the Space Jam film, and I was just like, this Space Jam film actually speaks more than just like a pretty good film, because it really is a good decent film that blends like comedy, animation, and even some real events of like what to do once your career is over and coming back out of retirement, like giving up the spotlight. So it's a movie that touches a lot of different tones, and it was really nice that this movie is like a phenomenon. It has a place in time that a lot of movies doesn't have. But without that, let me tell you the first time I saw Space Jam. So as I said many times, I'm a proud citizen of the 90s. Richie Rich said he is a proud citizen of the 90s. And I had Space Jam 90s. I had the Space Jam VHS cassette. And I remember at this time, I'd already been exposed to the Looney Tunes, of course. Watch Up Doc, Bugs Bunny, Wile E. Coyote, Daffy Duck, who's my favorite, Porky Pig, Faircorn Leghorn, Sylvester and Tweety, all of the Looney Tunes collection. So I had Space Jam, and I also had a Looney Tunes box set that had the merry melodies from back in the day. Because a lot of people don't know Looney Tunes has been out for since I believe the 1940s, 50s, around just after the Second World War. So it's been as long as like even just like Tom and Jerry. They've been around for a while. So it was cool that to watch Space Jam, and I had this Looney Tunes VHS cassette. Then even at the time, of course, big fan of Cartoon Network, and there was also a channel in Boomerang in the UK that they would show Warner Brothers production material. So you had Tiny Toons, which was very big when I was a kid, Animaniacs, which was an extension from the Warner Brothers, and also the DC Comics animated series, from Batman the Animated Series to Superman the Animated Series, and then of course then went on to Justice League Unlimited. So it was such a I felt like, as much as a big fan I am of Space Jam, DC Comics, I was a big fan of the whole Warner Brothers the Warner Brothers like entity, Warner Brothers era. So that was the first time I ever saw Space Jam, and as I said, when I watched it the first time, I was very over the moon. I watched it recently. I remembered how it was when I was watching it as a kid to watching it now in my 30s, and the movie, it's not one of those movies that when you grow up and you feel like, oh, that movie was lame, I only liked it as a kid. There are some cheesy, corny 90s moments in there, but it's still a movie that I can watch at this age, and it's a movie I could even watch as part of a family also. It was directed by Joe Prichter, who was someone who was known for directing like a lot of like commercials and sports thing. And the movie of course I'm going to get onto the cast later on, but we'll actually go into the production, like what was the initial idea to make this basketball movie featuring the best basketball player in the world, the GOAT, Michael Jordan, as at this time in the 90s. And of course, if anyone hasn't, they must watch this. Definitely check out the Last Dance documentary on Netflix. They actually have an extraction part where they talk about the making of Space Jam, and they go into the development and the production on why Michael Jordan agreed to star in this film. But long story short was that Michael Jordan actually retired from basketball in the early 90s, in 1993 to be exact, and he went to play baseball for a couple of years. Didn't have the greatest career in baseball, but then he returned back to the Bulls, Chicago Bulls, which is my team. Shout out to Chicago Bulls. He returned back, and he went back into the gist of it. Around that time, that would have been 1995, that's when the idea came to put Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan in the biggest basketball movie ever, Space Jam. And even preceding this, when Michael Jordan was still playing basketball, he did a lot of commercials back in the day. He did a famous one he did with Spike Lee, and he also did commercials starring with like animated characters such as Bugs Bunny. So there was ideas of like making this commercial into a full feature-length film, and it actually got greenlit. Michael Air Jordan, right? So at this time, Michael Jordan was only starring, as I said, in commercials. I don't remember if he had that much guest spots like the other basketball stars. As I said, basketball, especially in the 90s, reached this fever phase where you had basketball players playing in movies, of course, White Man Can't Jump, appearing in TV series, Charles Barkley and Hang on Mr. Cooper, and having great games like NBA Jam. So basketball was just this real super deaf coolest thing in the 90s, and it just went with the culture at that time. So I'm sure even before this, Michael Jordan was offered script after script after script for basketball movies. As I said, the best the basketball movies that had come out just before this would have been White Man Can't Jump, that came out in 1992. That's possibly the one that was on the top. Of course, Love and Basketball and He Got came a couple of years after this, but that was probably I may be missing one, I'll probably put it here, but that was like the basketball movies, the good ones that they were in competition with. So Michael Jordan accepted to star in this movie, and I honestly say for his first movie, Michael Jordan does a real good job. I mean, at the end, Michael Jordan is just playing Michael Jordan himself, but he's believable in this movie. He doesn't say any lines. There's none of this corny, cheesy way he delivers his lines. He feels very believable. He feels like a leader. When you do see him in the scenes when he's with the Toon Squad and they have their heads down and they're like, we can't beat the main antagonist of this film. He's there to like lead them and rise them up. And even when you see the scenes with the other basketball players, because I gotta tell you, there's a lot of other basketball stars who were big in the 90s who were in this film. I'm gonna list them out there. And one thing I really love in this film, which I don't think was highlighted in not just basketball movies, folks, but in sports films in general, is that how the public really admire sports athletes and also sports celebrities. There's a very great scene when, I believe when the movie starts, where Michael Jordan is now a baseball athlete, and you see all the people around him, he's the agents and the people in attendance and the people on his opposing team and on his team, they kiss his ass. He's not the greatest baseball player, and the other ones are saying, great game, Mike. Oh, Mike, you did good. Oh, Mike, that wasn't a strike. They kept on like pedestalizing Michael Jordan just because of his name and recognition in the NBA. So much so that this is the second main character, Wayne Knight, who plays Stan. Wayne Knight, who would you know from Seinfeld? Hello, Newman. And he also was in Jurassic Park. It's that annoying one who's trying to cause havoc. And he also appeared in Basic Instinct. So Wayne Knight, Stan. I honestly believe there was characters like this, and I honestly believe there was a guy. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the Last Dance. I must have saved the Last Dance. In the Last Dance with Michael Jordan documentary, there was actually a dude for Chicago Bulls who was like that. He was just that small, weaselly, overweight guy who would just do anything, and I mean anything, to be with the Chicago Bulls. He was the biggest fan. Stan became the biggest fan. And so I thought that was nice. But Michael Jordan, honestly, for the first movie, an A1 slam dunk performance. Of course, so in playing Michael Jordan's wife, which you really don't get too much scenes, is again the beautiful Teresa Randall. She was again one of those beautiful black actresses who had a lot of appearances in the 90s. Teresa Randall was in King of New York with Christopher Walken. She appeared in Jungle Fever. She appeared in Malcolm X. She appeared in, I believe it was Sugar Hill, which was more of a bigger role with Wesley Snipes. She appeared in Girl 6, which was, I believe, her first and maybe only leading role. And of course, she appeared in Bad Boys as Martin Lawrence's wife in there. So for her role in this, which is not too much because the movie really focuses on Michael and Bugs and the whole Space Jam, you don't really see too much scenes, but for what she does in here is pretty fine. And of course, so let me list the basketball players in here. So you got Charles Barkley, Muggsy Bogues, Sean Bradley, Patrick Ewing, and Larry Johnson. So these are like the 5 basketball players who get their talent taken away from the Monstars in there. And as I said, seeing them, it's really cool because in England, of course, I wasn't watching basketball as that. I became more of a bigger fan as I started to get older. But it's so cool to see real life basketball athletes then get put into this big budget blockbuster movie, Space Jam. And I love the concept idea of these monsters taking the talent of the NBA players, because there's that scene where all these respected players are having their games within the basketball season, and the Monstars are able to suck their talent out, and they lose all their skills and all their techniques that made them these professional super athletes. So I thought that was a cool, and of course you got a lot of cameos that appear in this. Bill Murray is here. You could probably say even his cameo is a little bigger because he appears in the early scenes when Michael gets abducted by the Looney Tunes, and then even at the end when he helps the Toon Squad defeat the Monstars. You have Larry Bird there in a small cameo also. And you've also got Brandon Hammond, you've got Fawn Barry, you got James R. Jordan Sr., you got Danny Algar, Steve Carell, Alonzo Mourning. The list goes on and on. You got a lot of characters in this movie who are pretty much just playing themselves, who are involved in the whole basketball NBA, involved in that whole NBA theme at that time. Alright, so if we then go to the voice cast, of course, starting out, if we go to the voice cast, we've got Billy West, who plays Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd. As I said, it's really, I really liked seeing Bugs Bunny in this, of course, because I first saw him in, the Merry Melodies that used to play Cartoon Network, and as I said, I used to have that box set. It is really nice seeing him in this more like kind of 3D live action version, and I believe Billy West does perfect voice. His perfect voice for Bugs Bunny in this film. As I said, Billy West also voices Elmer Fudd. You've got D. Bradley Baker, who voices Daffy Duck, Tasmanian Devil and Bull. I really love Daffy Duck in this film. It shows that you can see the difference between him and Bugs. Daffy believes he's number one, which I truly believe he should be, but because he's black, they don't put him there. Bugs and Daffy are like the two leading characters from the Looney Tunes, and yeah, I really love Daffy Duck in this. I get a lot of funny moments from his, especially when that dog attacks him. Yeah, and of course the main voice actor is Danny DeVito, who plays Schwackhammer. So this is the one. Schwackhammer is the one who lives on that planet. And he came up with the concept that he needed something more attraction to entertain like the young kids at that more mountain something. So he came out with the idea to steal these basketball, steal the Looney Tunes, and the Looney Tunes then had to basically get Michael Jordan, because they were gonna face them in the basketball one, so they could get their freedom. But with Space Jam, it's not really a story I have to really go into detail. I'm sure everyone has pretty much seen it. Long story short, what it is, as I said, is that Danny DeVito's character basically wants to get more public attractions for his planet. He feels like the kids find boring, they're losing revenue, TV ratings are going down, so they must get something more public attraction. So he sends his minions to basically get the Looney Tunes, but the Looney Tunes says the only way you can get us to go work for you, we can make a deal, but you must challenge us a game of basketball. So that's when the minions basically go to the NBA and steal the talent of the 5 professional NBA athletes. It's then when the Looney Tunes basically say, okay, we need someone who can basically challenge them, and they go basically to steal Michael Jordan, at this time, we could say kind of follow real events. He had already retired from basketball at this time. In the story, he retired from basketball and was playing golf, and the Looney Tunes abducted him and said, okay, this is it. We need you just for one game, and we need to fight them. We need to beat these Monstars, or they're going to take us away from Looney Tuneville. And that's pretty much the story. It's pretty much the story in this is so, and that's possibly why it's still a success even today, is it doesn't overcomplicate it. This is something I think Space Jam 2 tried to do, of like trying to add these too many new themes or too new concepts, which didn't need to be that. This story made it very simple. Looney Tunes are in trouble. They need to win this basketball game. We're gonna get the best basketball player ever to help us beat these aliens. And once they're done, they're able to successfully get their talent back to the NBA players, and Looney Tunes are back in their realm. Bugs is able to get the beautiful Lola Bunny in this film, and that give my final thoughts soon. But of course, I would definitely get on the music. So one of the best things, and I've said this many times with the movies in the 90s, as you know, I'm a first-class citizen of the 90s. I got my passport in the back. Yes. The soundtracks that were connected, that were with these 90s hits films like White Man Can't Jump, like New Jack City, like Jungle Fever. There was just this special type of energy these music used to play. These music from these movies used to play, and this film hits it right out of the park. You have I Believe I Can Fly from, of course, Robert Kelly, who, again, forgetting all of the bad stuff and evil things he's done, you have to really recognize that he was a tremendous gifted artist. Great song. You've got Fly Like an Eagle, which I even get goosebumps when I hear this song. They actually play Fly Like an Eagle towards the ending scene of Space Jam, when Michael Jordan is now returned back to the Chicago Bulls and is about to slam dunk, and he plays Fly Like an Eagle just by the credits. I like the Monstars theme. That was by Be Real, Busta Rhymes, Coolio, LL Cool J, Method Man. I hit him high, hit him high, hit him high. You hit him low, you hit him low, hit him low. Music from Barry White and Chris Rock. And you've got I Turn on You by 0 for 1, and you got Monica. So the music, it just like this time in the era, it combines the R&B and the rap music for such a slamming, no pun intended. Slamming is the best way to describe this album. I give it a AAA+. Possibly one of the greatest albums, a movie soundtrack. It is sensational. No Chris Brown. This one is sensational. It's not an album. And one thing I've always got to say is the effort they used to put in the intros. I'm telling you, in this film, when you see the first intro and it shows the main characters, it shows Michael Jordan, then it shows Bugs Bunny, and then the characters' names then goes into the title. It goes to the title and goes, poof, Space Jam comes out. And I feel like I'm going into Six Flags, or I'm going into Universal Studios. It's like they make it more bigger than just a movie. It's like an event you must go to see. You must be a part of the Space Jam. You can feel that energy, and I really miss that what they used to do with those intros. I'm a huge, tremendous fan of Space Jam. I feel my love for this movie, of course, overtakes like the narrative, because as I've seen, and the basketball game actually takes pretty much the whole duration of the movie, which is good. Because it's not like some movies where they kind of hype this up and it's only a small part of the film. It's actually an extensive part of the film, which I really love, and it's great. Like I said, the emphasis is on the basketball game, and I love that. So of course, the positives in this film, of course, Michael Jordan as the lead character, basically playing himself. I love how the movie was able to pretty much also take real events and bring it into the film. As I said, I really adored the scenes when you had all these people surrounded by Michael Jordan who just wanted to kiss his ass just because he's Michael Jordan. And it's like, I was like, this is something that not just only happens to him, but it happens to those athletes now. One is, I'm sure LeBron James is we're gonna talk about him later in Space Jam 2. God. So I really love that. I really love the idea they brought the whole baseball concept, like he was in baseball and it's him making a comeback to the basketball, going through this direction to help the Looney Tunes successfully win. Another part I really love about this film is the scale of this film. You could really tell that the production in this went really above and beyond to make sure that the scale, the CGI, the graphics, the animation was at the best point on it. It feels so much so that when you see Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny actually shake hands, it feels almost reality. Like, I haven't seen animation this great since like Who Framed Roger Rabbit before this, where it felt like the CGI was only used as a necessity. It wasn't overused, of course, as you're seeing today. It was only used when in moments they needed to it. And the animation, even when you see it, in some places, of course, it does look dated, but some places you look at it now, it still stands the test of time. And I really admired that. I believe everyone on this production really went out of their way to up their game. With the negatives of Space Jam, I would only say that it's possibly a short runtime. with this film. As I said, the movie is very linear and straightforward. It's nothing complicated. It's nothing you have to really think crazy about. It's very straightforward. I could see also another thing. I could see maybe some people probably wanted to know a bit more about Michael Jordan's backstory. In this movie, skips very quickly from the animated parts with Looney Tunes and then with the live action parts. So possibly would have been nice to see a bit more of time spent with like Michael Jordan's family, like more scenes with Teresa Randall. I even the opening scene, as I said before, that kick-ass tie where you see Michael Jordan, Bugs Bunny, and he plays that jam. Could be just subjective on this, but I'm someone who holds holds Space Jam, the original one, very high. I don't see too much flaws that other people see. I mean, even Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, they gave this 2 thumbs up. For these critics who really put movies down, they even gave this movie 2 thumbs up. This movie is a breath of fresh air. And as a side note, I became a Chicago Bulls fan from seeing this movie. I had Space Jam and I also had NBA Jam on the Super Nintendo. So yeah, that's how I said, first class citizen of the 90s. So I remember anytime I put NBA Jam or any NBA games after, Chicago Bulls always became my team, and I actually still have my Chicago Bulls jersey. Space Jam 2: A New Legacy. This came out in 2021, so not even too long ago. I remember when this movie came out, I was actually in Mexico at this time. I vehemently decided not to go to the cinema to watch this. I already knew this movie was gonna suck. I believe this is the same year Coming to America 2 had come out. And I said this on my last review. These movies, there's some movies that just don't need sequels. But of course, with the studio, they want to look at any gain that something that was good in the past, we can make some more money in the future. We're just going to bring it to a new audience and a new generation, hence the new legacy. And I just thought, especially me going cinema, especially me being such a diehard Space Jam 1 fan, I just didn't want to contribute to this disaster of a film. And probably the only scene I liked in the Space Jam 2 was when LeBron James is with the Looney Tunes and they say Michael Jordan's coming, but it's not Michael Air Jordan, it's Michael B. Jordan. And that was really cool because I'm a fan of Michael B. Jordan, and it was nice him getting his, like you could say, roses, becoming this big star. And it's even been mentioned in the same breath as Michael Jordan. But for anyone who's watching the first Space Jam, avoid Space Jam 2. Do not waste your time. Do not waste your money on it. That is my review on Space Jam that came out in 1996. As I said, I got high regards for this movie because, again, I remember the impact of this film growing up as a kid as the 90s, and from what led to, again, as I said, just that popularity that Michael Jordan has even to this day is astounding. I highly recommend Space Jam from 1996. But folks, let me know what you think about Space Jam 1996. Let me know what you think about basketball, Chicago Bulls, and all the cameos that came out of this film. The many animated characters, from Bugs Bunny to Lola to Daffy to Feko Leghorn to Sylvester to Tweety. All of them. Put it down in the comment section below. And again, once again, I really appreciate you for taking time to watch this review. Let's keep it up. This is 2025. This is my year. This is your year. And we got to remember that success is a sniff away.